USAA knows dynamic duos can save the day, like superheroes and sidekicks or auto and home insurance. With USAA, you can bundle your auto and home and save up to 10%. Learn more and get a quote at USAA.com/bundle. Restrictions apply.
After Zoomies at the dog park, it's time for Drive Up at Target. In goes a big bag of kibble and one squeaky chicken toy for the good boy. Drive Up that's ready when you are, only in the Target app. Just tap Target.
Welcome into 49ers Access. My name is Sterling Bennett, and today we are reacting to day number 2 of San Francisco 49ers OTAs, including the return of Trent Williams, our first look at newest 49er Bryce Huff, and we have a Christian McCaffrey speed update. Did he look slow? Did he look fast? You'll have to wait to find out in today's show. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel on the audio podcasting platforms. Leave us that 5-star review, and let's dive into Niners OTAs day number 2. Kicking things off with the non-participants of today's practice. The first one isn't shocking whatsoever. It is 7th-round pick quarterback Curtis Rourke. He is still recovering from a torn ACL that was suffered this year. I believe the timeline indicates he will be ready closer to training camp, but obviously they'll take things slow with him. The other one, the big one that often, unfortunately, is in the news for all the wrong reasons, according to San Francisco 49er fans. That is wide receiver Brandon Aiyuk. And Aiyuk continues to make headlines off the field. Now, with that said, Aiyuk, of course, wasn't at practice today, still recovering from a knee injury that was suffered during last season against the Kansas City Chiefs. But we did get some good news with Brandon Aiyuk. He has reportedly been working out every single day at the Niners facility. He's there, he's present, and according to Matt Mayoko and wide receiver coach Leonard Hankerson, Aiyuk is in every team meeting, which shouldn't come as a shock. He's a wide receiver on the 49ers, but he's taken on some quasi-coaching role within those meetings with guys like Ricky Pearsall, Jacob Cowing, Juwan Jennings, Demarcus Robinson. And it's good to see a $30 million wide receiver who can't play due to injury kind of taking a leadership role behind the scenes, trying to get guys ready for the 2025 season. I know I put that on social media and people thought I was being sarcastic. I'm not. It's good to see a player that didn't really get a chance to be a leader last year once he got paid, finally being a leader now that Deebo Samuel's gone. You saw this defense get gutted during free agency in the offseason, losing Talanoa Hufanga and Dre Greenlaw. You're going to have guys step up as leaders in the interim, and now you're having Brandon Aiyuk doing so. But unfortunately, a lot of that gets washed away because Brandon Aiyuk really likes to post on social media, like all the time. And yesterday, Brandon Aiyuk posted on his Instagram story a picture of Terrell Owens shirtless, surrounded by media, working out in his driveway. Now, at the time of the picture, Owens was, I think, battling with Andy Reid with Philadelphia at the time, and was almost inviting the media attention to himself. Told the media, hey, I'll be at my house, come film me, wanting to raise an issue, wanting to cause headlines and draw headlines. And when Aiyuk posted that, everyone's eyebrows raised and said, well, what does this mean? What is he alluding to? It's not really the example or not really the picture you want your star receiver to be posting on your social media, simply because it gives the wrong impression as to, is he being a diva? Is he wanting to draw unnecessary attention towards him? Is there a contract issue? It just opens up every single avenue of like, let's not do this, because it draws so much negativity. But Aiyuk followed that back up with the post pretty much telling, in his own words, every 30-plus-year-old man with a beard to get off his back. He's just having fun. And I want to open the discussion to the YouTube chats and those of you out there on X or on social media platforms. Does Brandon Aiyuk's social media post bother you? Because when that first post came out, when the Trell Owens post happened, I was like, I don't love this. Again, there's some attention drawn to you don't really want to have. But then the follow-up kind of saying, I'm just having fun, don't worry about it. There's one and two ways you can look at that. One, it's like, get off my back, I'm actually just kind of joking around, kind of saying like, F it, whatever. The other one is, I made a post, I look dumb, I shouldn't have done that, but it's all a joke, so whatever. You kind of want your receivers to be more like your quarterbacks. I think Colin Cowherd, for all his faults, has a really good analogy of this, where wide receivers are just the icing on the cake. They aren't the ingredients. They aren't the actual structure. They aren't the cake. They aren't the eggs. They aren't the flour. They aren't the sugar. They're just icing on the cake. Where if you want to win a Super Bowl or be a really great team, yeah, it certainly helps to have icing, wide receivers on your roster, but you don't really need them to be a champion at the NFL level. Now, you can kind of bicker on that point, but you'd rather your wide receivers be like your quarterbacks, Brock Purdy, quiet guys, meek, don't say much. However, wide receivers are the skill position. They are the shortstop, if you will, of the NFL. They are the point guards. They are the ISO basketball player. They're Kevin Durant. They're the LeBron James. They are whoever else you want to put in that form, and they carry themselves like that. Being a diva, if you will, kind of comes with the territory. Now, you would love BA to not do that stuff, but I don't find any of Brandon Aiyuk's social media posts, whether it's Instagram or Twitter or his own YouTube channel thus far, to be problematic. Yeah, maybe you wouldn't like that, but he's not hurting anybody. He's not calling, go back to last year. I would rather have Brandon Aiyuk post videos of TO or whatever on social media, and it mean absolutely nothing, than Deebo Samuel posting on social media calling his team out after a Week 10 loss or Week 9 loss when the season feels like it's lost, right? Where you're like, oh, crap, you're calling out Kyle Shanahan, calling out Brock Purdy. I'd rather be Brandon Aiyuk in that situation. Until Aiyuk, kind of crosses that line, then we can have a different conversation as to what's going on. Now, of course, you don't want him to do that stuff. You'd rather him be quiet, but it's almost like the kid in class who's talking too much. Is he really hurting anybody? No, but you'd rather him be quiet. It's kind of like his own controlled chaos where it's like he's in his own bubble. No one else is affected, but again, you wish he wasn't doing those things. He wasn't making that noise. But I'd rather have him be BA, being dumb, being goofy, having his own version of fun, if you will, compared to Deebo Samuel last year, calling out his team and his quarterback at a low point of last season. But BA didn't practice today, but good signs are he's working out every single day and is actually in the meetings being a leader for the rest of that receiver group. Moving along here, Jauan Jennings didn't practice today. He worked on the sideline. Not really sure why he didn't practice. I think there was concerns of maybe a potential injury, but nothing really was said in the post-practice press conferences, and nothing was made of it. Or nothing was made known to the media today, so it's more of like just be cautious, take a day, work on the sideline. Losing, 1 day of OTAs isn't going to hurt a player like Jauan Jennings. The other one, wide receiver Ricky Pearsall, he obviously isn't going to practice probably until training camp with the hamstring injury. He was not seen today. A surprising one that I'm not really sure as to why he's not practicing, is offensive lineman, the assumed backup right tackle, Andre Dillard. I don't think he's practiced a day the media has been there thus far. Not sure what's going on there, whether it's an injury or not the field thing. I don't know. Not going to speculate, but just passing along the news here, Andre Dillard has not practiced thus far for San Francisco. Nick Bosa had a vet rest day. Not a big deal. He is Nick Bosa, but always good to see your best defensive player, not named Fred Warner, on the sideline and watching practice. Talking it up, chatting to guys, having a good time, kind of being more involved than not when you really don't have to do anything on a vet rest day. Nick Bosa and also Fred Warner, who also had a rest day, both observed practice, talking to guys, doing stuff and whatnot. Then there is Yetur Gross-Matos. He had a baby. He isn't there yet. Congratulations, Yetur Gross-Matos. Happy for you. I hope the baby's healthy. Hope you can get back soon because we have some business to take care of. That being OTA's day number 3. But again, it's OTAs. You had a baby. Take your time and enjoy those first few days and weeks with your brand new child. The other one, it was not made a big deal, and I don't think it is a big deal, but first round pick Mykel Williams did not practice today. He worked on the sideline with the trainer, and seemingly it was a right leg injury. Not sure if it was a knee injury, not sure if it was a calf injury or a hammy. I have no idea, but he had a sleeve on his right leg. He wasn't full uniform, but didn't practice, so I'm not sure if that was, let's see how you feel during warm-ups kind of day, but Mykel Williams did not practice as well. Although Mykel Williams' injury really isn't concerning, Alfred Collins is to me. The fact that, he hasn't practiced once yet, and I know he has a calf injury. That's what's holding him out. He also hasn't signed that rookie contract. Now, I think it'll get signed, but you're talking about day 2 of media open OTAs, a lot of practices in between, the entire rookie minicamp, which is only 2 days, but still. I'm a little concerned as to what's going on there. I don't know if he has a calf injury and they're using that as an excuse for him to not practice while they work out the details of his contract. However, it seems like he's holding out for a fully guaranteed contract, which most teams don't do that for second-round picks. First-round picks happens all the time, but second-round picks, it's trying to become a more normal thing because agents are pushing for it and players are pushing for it, but it'll get done. I think he'll be fine, but a little concerned that it's not happening just yet because every day that passes, you're talking about training camps in a month or so, mandatory camp is in, the next 6 days or whatnot. So you start to get closer and your worry starts to kind of raise, but I think it'll get done. Just, again, keep it in the back of your mind. Alfred Collins is not practicing, whether it's contract or calf related. He has not suited up once for the San Francisco 49ers. Linebacker Curtis Robinson is still recovering from an ACL injury. He didn't practice today. Malik Mustafa, who, again, also has a knee injury, didn't practice, but like Fred Warner and like Nick Bosa, did talk to and sat on the sideline to watch practice. So veteran guys, second-year pros on tap for OTA's day number 2. Jair Brown, the other safety, was not there. He had ankle surgery. He was not at practice. George Odom could have been a vet day, but I don't think he's practiced throughout the media open OTAs just yet. Not sure what happened there. So the Niners really don't have their safety room, at least their top couple guys on the field. No Mustafa, no Jair Brown, no George Odom. It's allowing Richie Grant and Jason Pinnock to get a ton of reps early, which is great in their first year with San Francisco. But also, they ain't got Marquis Siegel out there either. So you have 4 safeties. Guys that are going to make your roster in some aspects, but guys who want out there aren't out there. The Odom one and the Siegel one are both big questions for myself because I have no idea why they aren't practicing. There's been no injury news of either one of those players, and Siegel has signed his contract, so I'm not exactly sure what's happening, but hope we can get some news on those guys in the near future.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Want to go to the YouTube chat right here saying, Bobo says Trent Williams looks thinner. I'll get into that in a few seconds. Kawachipto says, being tongue-in-cheek regarding Christian McCaffrey's speed, does Kyle Shanahan have a 6th gear? honestly, I'm wondering if Kyle has that second or third gear, because come playoff time, it is non-existent for Kyle Shanahan. Bobo says here regarding Brandon Aiyuk, the only good news that can come from Aiyuk should be a contract restructure for a pay cut. Well, that's not going to happen. He got paid, held out for a large paycheck last offseason. Ain't no way he's giving that thing up. Now, however, it is worth mentioning that a lot of talk from this channel, people on social media, and almost every other person covering the team is that there is a way where Brandon Aiyuk is no longer on the team after this season. Let's say Aiyuk is healthy, looks like himself again, and San Francisco says, you know what, you're a valuable piece to Brock Purdy in the offense. We have Pearsall, we have Aiyuk, we have Jennings. It's worth bringing BA back. You may see a contract restructure next offseason, but that's a long ways away, and we are about probably 4-ish months from even seeing Aiyuk on the field, in my own opinion. Niners First Takes with the $5 super chat. Aaron, you're too kind, brother. You're way too kind. He says, potential diva without the resume to support it. Brother, you're coming in hot too. Super chats and coming in hot. My goodness. Why do fans not like Brandon Aiyuk? Is it because, like Aaron's saying here, he ain't got the resume? But I'm like, leading target getter back-to-back seasons. Everybody was seemingly on board with paying Aiyuk until he got paid, then he got hurt. Like, if Aiyuk never got hurt, are we still having that same negative sentiment towards him? I don't think so, but we'll never know because he currently is hurt. But Aaron, thank you so much for the super chat. Let's do a show soon, brother, because we got a lot to talk about in the next week or so. Kawachipto says, here, blame the Texans for fully guaranteeing their second-round pick, Jaden Higgins' contract. Most second-rounders haven't signed. You're right. Kawachipto adds here only 2 second-rounders have signed their contract, that being an allusion to the Alfred Collins point of him holding out for either a fully guaranteed contract or the calf injury being the reason he isn't practicing. But you're right. The Texans really kind of screwed the pooch, if you will, for other teams by giving Jaden Higgins from Iowa State a fully guaranteed contract as a second-round pick. Once you do that, everyone else says, well, why not me? Well, I want that. Well, I want that. And, I don't love the, one ruins it for all theory, but in this case, when it comes to Alfred Collins playing for the San Francisco 49ers, the Texans may have ruined it for everybody else guaranteeing that deal. Which also, what a steal for Jaden Higgins. One, great pick, but also man, what are you doing, Houston? Not a great look, not a great thing for the rest of the league. And they also screwed themselves going forward. Now, every second-round pick they have is going to want a fully guaranteed contract. So, not sure what they were thinking there, but moving along to the bigger takeaways of today, starting things off with quarterback Brock Purdy. Purdy looked like Brock Purdy. There really isn't much to say. He didn't have Aiyuk, obviously. He didn't have Juwan Jennings. He didn't have Ricky Pearsall. The de facto number one wide receiver was Demarcus Robinson, and those two connected over and over and over and over again. They have seemingly good chemistry through a handful of practices already. Obviously, Robinson, coming over from the Rams, knows the system pretty well, and him and Brock Purdy were on point today in OTA's day number 2. There was even like a 25-yard deep-ish throw from Purdy to Demarcus Robinson in some good coverage. So that was probably the highlight throw of the day. I know the social media team has put out Mac Jones's throw to Jacob Cowan, which is a pretty good play as well, but Brock Purdy has looked like Brock Purdy, which is what you want, consistency. One of the issues last year for Brock was, while there were so many other things that were going wrong around him, you'd want consistency where you're going to pay somebody $53 million a year or $265 million with the extension. You at least want to have that person be that steady factor where if everything's going haywire, they're even keeled, they're fine. And Brock usually can do that for them. He's done it the past couple of years, but last year was kind of the first glimpse as to, okay, sometimes Brock does blink. when the lights get too bright, but overwhelmingly, Brock has looked really good through the first 2 days of open OTAs for the media. Before I get into Christian McCaffrey, I want to pause for 1 second to remind everybody out there, if you want to see your San Francisco 49ers play in person this season, the schedule is out. Go to SeatGeek.com, find your tickets. It is the #1 ticketing app in the country. I use it all the time for Giants tickets, Niners tickets, NBA tickets, concerts, whatever you want. Find your tickets for whatever event you want to choose. Hopefully it's a Niner game, but if it's not, good on you as well. But you can use our promo code 49ersaccess, 49ERS ACCESS at SeatGeek.com to save yourself $20 off your first purchase. And let's get in to what has, in the kindest way possible, been one of the dumbest conversations we have had in the early portion of the OTAs for San Francisco. It is, does Christian McCaffrey look slow? Does he have that fifth gear? Does he look like himself again? And me and Aaron on our stream last week or so kind of went more in depth into why this is a dumb conversation to have and all that stuff, so check that out. But I'll kind of reiterate the points here. One, it's OTAs. No pads are on. There's no defense involved. You can't touch anybody. Like, it is a hands-off, don't even breathe on certain players kind of deal. The only action Christian McCaffrey is getting is in between trash cans and very light work. So the idea that Christian McCaffrey looks slow is borderline idiotic because everybody looks slow in a non-padded practice where there's no one-on-ones with padded guys. Defenses can't put your hands on you. It really is an unnecessary conversation to have when, as Nick Bosa put it, it's not football yet. And so to piggyback off of that comment by Nick Bosa of it's not football yet, let's pump the brakes. Christian McCaffrey through 2 days has looked perfectly fine. He does look like his former self. He looked bouncy. He was moving around. There's a clip on social media. I'm not sure who it's from, so forgive me, where CMC looks like 2022, 2023 Christian McCaffrey, where he's not hurt at all. He's moving around. He looks like he looks slow crowd may be wrong. Now, obviously, once the season comes, maybe that'll happen, and he'll look like a 28-year-old running back that has the most touches or second most touches besides Derrick Henry in the last 3 or 4 years or so. That seems like a logical, conclusion to that conversation, but he looks fine. It's so early into the offseason program. Again, what does look fast? What does look slow mean? Again, it's a really stupid thing we have to discuss and address, but he looks fine. Today, we did get a bigger glimpse of him in individual drills, again, going through trash cans, catching balls from Brock Purdy with nobody around him. But he also did do team drills today, and just like the individual drills, he looked fine. Did have a nice catch on an out route with D. Winters kind of draped all over him. Again, draped all over him is in quotes because you can't do that in OTAs, but he looked a lot like himself again, and that's really important to have. He looked good. Don't ask me if he has that fifth gear. I don't know. There's too many gears. I drive an automatic. It's not important to me. Put that puppy in drive and just say go. That's all I care about. If he can play, if he's healthy, that's all I need. I don't care if it's gear 1, gear 2, gear 3, or even gear 4. I don't care. If he can go out there and play, put him in drive and say, go get the football. So I can care less what gear he has or doesn't have. I just want him to be healthy and be out there because it changes the entire game for San Francisco. And again, going back to Nick Bosa's comments, it's not football yet. Now, once training camp comes and the pads are on and the helmets are on and the defense can actually play defense and the offensive line and defensive line can actually kind of smash some helmets and the guardian caps are on, we can have those real serious conversations as to who looks good, who doesn't look good, whose practice was good and poor. That's when the real conversation happens. But now on day 2 of media open day, or OTAs, it is a borderline irrelevant conversation to even have. That said, Spencer Burford looked pretty good today as the backup left tackle for what it's worth. He does continue to be the main backup left tackle as Trent Williams made his debut today, or I guess re-debut in a practice for San Francisco. The other kind of smaller big news is that of Jacob Cowing and Jordan Watkins. Both those guys still look sharp. One of the bigger quotes floating around social media today is Brock Purdy talking about Jordan Watkins, the rookie from, Ole Miss, in the round 4 this year? Or round 3? Round 4? Whatever it was. Round 5. I don't even care. It's really not important. Purdy's quote was about Jordan Watkins. He definitely has popped off in front of everybody, which is good. You do want younger guys standing out, younger guys who, let's be honest here, likely want to make the first good impression they have on their coaching staff, on their teammates, probably trying a little harder, want to make the team, want to go out there and make a statement. So we'll see if that can continue throughout the padded practices once training camp comes. But a good first few days for Jacob Cowing and Jordan Watkins. The routes look crisp. They look pretty clean. But I'm really, really intrigued by the start they've had and hoping they can carry it over into the training camp portion of the offseason program, because with no BA, maybe no Ricky Pearsall for a handful of time during the offseason due to the hamstring injury, and maybe even no Demarcus Robinson early due to the DUI potential suspension, you're going to have some of these guys step up, and so you're hoping that one of them, either Cowing or Watkins, can be a contributor for you throughout the preseason and early portions of the regular season. And maybe if you get lucky, one of those guys, become a main contributor for you down the road later on in the regular season. Sticking to the offense, and we have to talk about the return of left tackle, the silverback, Trent Williams. Man, I'll tell you this. I have seen Trent Williams practice in person a lot. The last couple years I've been there. He's a big man. He is a teddy bear, but also someone you probably wouldn't want to find in the dark alley, because he is a very scary person. Big smile, kind dude, but if you ask me, hey Sterling, who do you not want to find in that dark alley behind the bar by yourself around midnight? It is Trent freaking Williams, but it's good to have him back in the building. Good to have your starting left tackle coming into optional practices, right? A lot was made of his absence in the first day of OTAs open to the media. It was, where's Trent? Where's Trent? Trent was at home in Texas working out. And look, let's be clear here. Even if Trent didn't come today, who cares? It's not that big of a deal.
So, you just started using LinkedIn Premium. Now what? Well, on your premium company page, you noticed around 7.5 times more page engagement and 5 times more page views. Well done. And now, new clients are messaging you. All because you're using LinkedIn Premium, which helps you get the business growth you want. Think big, small business. Think big. Start your free trial at linkedin.com/premium small business. That's linkedin.com/premium small business.
It's obviously more important he's there for training camp, and Trent today, although didn't do a lot, it was really good to see what looked like a slimmed down and healthier Trent Williams. Now, I'm not sure if that is, having not played the entire second half last year and having the entire offseason off to himself, and getting in shape, working out, cutting some weight. You're hoping that's the case, but also you got to think going into last year, how important it is to have him here this early. And this same thing could be said even if he was here during the first day of training camp and not now, but to have Trent in here this early, knowing you did not see him a single time until week 1 of the NFL season, that's a big impact where you're not having to worry about, Spencer Burford, the left tackle, is Austin Pleasance being your left tackle. You don't have to worry about does Colton McKivitz have to slide over, and it just creates a big mess if Trent isn't there. And last year it was certainly that during the training camp and OTAs and preseason for the team. But with that in mind, having Trent there looking good, looking healthy, looking leaner than usual, you're hoping that they can kind of save his ankles, put less pressure on his ankles, knowing that you're playing left tackle. Your entire lower half is your weapons, really, and your base. And Trent has one of the best bases of a left tackle, but he looks, I don't want to say, the best shape of his entire career. That's a, really big cliche, but Trent looks to be in really great shape. Whether it's as good as 2 years ago, I have no idea, but he looks like he's ready to go for another round with the San Francisco 49ers. And it's important to have, your quarterback in place, your tight end in place, your linebacker in place, your former defensive player of the year edge rusher in place. Brandon Aiyuk is in the building, involved in things. Like, the vibes are just so good, and to have Trent there this early, I really wouldn't say setting an example, but again, being there and allowing younger guys to pick his brain, and also when training camp comes around, when pads are on, having guys like Nick Bosa, like Bryce Huff, like Micah Williams, be able to have those daily battles in the trenches. It's really important. Nick Bosa talked about how much of an impact those daily battles with Trent were such a big deal, how they've helped each other grow throughout their careers together in San Francisco, every single day, in the locker room, in the meetings, again, on those individual drills. I think of younger guys like Bryce Huff, who's made his first appearance today at OTAs, and Micah Williams, and Yetur Gross-Matos, and Sam O. A lot of those guys who were here last year didn't even get that when Trent wasn't there. So, I think it's important. Iron sharpens iron for a reason. And when you have a Hall of Famer at left tackle, it's going to help younger guys get ready sooner and hopefully progress quicker in their NFL careers, mainly guys like Williams and hopefully Bryce Huff, let's get to Bryce Huff now, because Bryce Huff, we've talked a lot about, what he could become for San Francisco, what the move means for their defense, how it shifts the defensive line around, moving Michael inside, allowing him to be a 3-down player for you, improves your run defense, and also gives you a really good third down pass rusher to kind of clean up things on third and long and whatnot. And when I tell you that they essentially took Chris Kocurek, the D-line coach, and Bryce Huff, they said, go in the corner and just work the entire practice together. It was like they had their own individual practice, just one-on-one. It was him, some assistants, and Chris Kocurek, and a guy, with the pads on and the big dummies. It was just them, those two guys, meshing, growing, learning, teaching everything. And, you can't make many takeaways, but it was good to see Bryce Huff out there. He moves really quick, which is why they acquired him. They want a speed rusher. For what you can make of a day like this, he looks really quick. And it was nice to kind of finally, at least going back to what the trade means for San Francisco, it's really nice to feel this confident in San Francisco's pass rush again, where you were kind of confident coming into the year without Bryce Huff, but now he's there, and you have Saleh, and you have Kocurek, and you have the other guys in that group together. This is probably the first time you feel like overtly confident in the pass rush, probably since 2023. And even then, there were some holes, so maybe you can even go back to 2022, 2021. And some young guys got to step up, Collins, Micah Williams, Gross-Matos, and CJ West. But I feel really confident in, what Bryce Huff can bring to the team and how it impacts the defensive line and pass rush going forward. Nick Bosa talked about today in the post-practice press conference that he used to watch Bryce Huff film to learn and improve what he can get better at earlier in his career, which is funny because Bosa came out 1 year before Bryce Huff. And Bosa was like, look, this guy's old, younger than me, but he's out there across the country in New York in the same defense as me. And he's out there putting up, top of the line pass rushing stats, like a 23 pressure rate in 2023 under Saleh. So you hear Nick, who is a defensive player of the year, has really no reason to watch anybody else's tape but his own or other elite guys. He said, I was looking at Bryce Huff tape, trying to get better. What he brings to us can make us better and myself better. So that was a pretty interesting tidbit to learn from Nick Bosa today. And even Bosa and Kocurek kind of made the same statements, albeit in different ways. But in short, they really talked about, why Bryce Huff didn't fit in Philadelphia in Vic Fangio's defense and why they didn't really get to utilize him well, and that being a big reason as to his stats and production dipping big time last year. And I think getting him back into a wide 9 with Saleh is a big reason as to why we all believe that they're going to get the 2023 or close to that version of Bryce Huff in 2025. And funny enough, we've talked a lot about on the show that Bryce Huff is a one-down player. He's a really good third-down pass rushing specialist, and some people had the indication that, they got him, how everyone's talking about him, what they're paying him, he'll be the number 2 guy. It's not the case. And even Nick Bosa today said, and I quote here, he's really elite at a certain thing, so we're going to use him that way. If that doesn't give you everything you need to know, San Francisco brought him in to be the third down cleaner. They brought him in to be the repo man on third down. And he's rocking 47 like he was in New York, but they brought him in to clean up 3rd and long, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 6, and kind of finish drives, if you will, for San Francisco. John Lynch has talked a lot about needing finishers on defense. Now, they went and acquired guys, and they thought those players, like Chase Young, would be that for them, and there was varying results with that move. But John Lynch, when you win so many big games, you realize that you can have a great team, but if you don't have guys that can finish, that's the difference. In San Francisco, at some points in times, has had a really great teams. Unfortunately, for whatever reason it was, whether it's injuries or a lack of production, haven't had the finishers come up with big plays at the right time, but you have to have finishers. And Bryce Huff is a finisher, and they're hoping get the defense off the field more consistently this year with Bryce Huff as your third down pass rush specialist, and hopefully get the ball into your $53 million quarterback's arms to score more points this season. A couple more and smaller takeaways from today's practice is we talked about after day 1. D. Winters was looking like he was not going to give up that number 2 starting linebacker job to anybody. And if he was, it was going to be a battle for it. Today, D. Winters and Nick Martin, 3rd round pick Nick Martin, the reach of a pick of Nick Martin, they were flying around. They were making plays. They were going sideline to sideline to sideline to sideline. They were out there showing off their speed and really showing as to, that swarm mentality, that all gas, no brakes, kind of motto they want to utilize in San Francisco. You can see as to why San Francisco values both those linebackers, Nick Martin and D. Winters. D. Winters even broke up a play today from Brock Purdy intended for Isaiah Hodgins. Again, just smart instincts, using that speed. Robert Saleh would rather have the athletic freak that maybe isn't the best tackler, that maybe isn't going to make the best play, but if you can get there, you have your athleticism, and you can get close to the football, you're going to play in a solid defense, and he can work with that to kind of mold you into a better player. And I think San Francisco and Robert Saleh are going to love what Winters and Martin bring to them. We'll see how Martin progresses in his first OTAs and training camp. I still think it's rich for him in round 3, but it's really hard to argue against the athletic traits that he possesses because he was flying around today on the practice field. 2 other notes here, one of them being Bernardo Green. I don't know if he injured himself, but he limped off the field, and he kind of was messing with his knee. He continued to practice, so maybe it's nothing, but just a small note to mention that you hope he's okay. Hopefully it's just something small, but when you see it, you want to say it. So Green finished practice, probably just a small thing, but he did kind of limp off the practice field today with...
The new McCrispy Strip is here. Dip approved by ketchup, tangy barbecue, honey mustard, Sprite, McFlurry, Big Mac sauce, double dipped in buffalo and ranch, more ranch, and creamy chili McCrispy Strip Dip. Now at McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
seemingly an injury. Maybe it wasn't that, but it was a leg injury for sure. The last note of the day is rounding things towards the safety group, the final time of the show, that being about Richie Grant. In the last practice, Grant and Jason Pinnock got most of the reps. Today, that was the exact same story again. No Jair Brown, no Malik Mustafa, no George Odom, no Marquis Siegel, and Richie Grant really stood out today. Broke up 2 passes from Brock Purdy today. One of them was targeting Ross Dwelley. The other one was targeting Isaiah Hodgins. So the defense was flying around, making plays, and guys that, if, let's say, Mustafa misses some time big in the year, you probably assume Pinnock's the guy. But if Jair Brown isn't healthy, a lot has been made as to if San Francisco should bring in a safety. Maybe it's Julian Blackmon, who Gus Bradley's now in San Francisco. Could certainly see that. We're also, a lot of people want Justin Simmons. I think his price tag may be a little too high, but again, San Francisco has like $50 million in cap space, so who knows? But I think they're going to give these guys an opportunity first, especially in this portion of the offseason. They're going to want guys that, are veterans and get those guys valuable reps in padded practices first before saying they're not good enough, they got to find somebody else. San Francisco gave Pinnock guaranteed money. I'm assuming his spot is safe on the roster. But also I think San Francisco doesn't want to sign somebody big enough to take away Mustafa's job, and you already gave Pinnock guaranteed money. I know Jair Brown's kind of in a mixed bag for the fan base, but I do think San Francisco likes him still. I think they want to give Mustafa and Brown the brunt of the reps if they can, if they're healthy, early in the year, and see what happens there. You could see San Francisco add a piece during the season, and they're never afraid to do that. But it was a good practice for Richie Grant, and I think we're not going to hear them sign a safety until, later into July, maybe even closer to August during preseason. That's usually when you see those kind of fringe veterans sign, Deshaun Gibson being one of them. Somebody else goes down for sure. Maybe a lot of that will be answered once we learn more about Marquis Siegel not practicing and George Odom not practicing. But until then, Richie Grant has looked rather competent, is how I'll put it, in his first 2 practices open to the media. One last comment here from Calachipto saying that Trent and Ben Barch looked good moving together. Ben Barch has looked, how do I put this? Fluid, has looked much more athletic than previous Niners left guards. Aaron Banks was that. I know injuries kind of drug him down towards the end of last season, but Ben Barch looks more lively, is how I'll word that, lively, than other left guards next to Trent in previous years. But guards are so important into the Shanahan offense. That's why their only offensive lineman draft pick was Connor Colby. It's why they made it a point to have Ben Barch trade for him a couple years ago, and also make sure he's back, draft Pooney in round 3 last year. They value the interior offensive line for a very good reason. Those guys almost dictate the offense and the running game for them, so it's really important. Barch had a really kind of couple good games last year for San Francisco, and so far, now that he's fully healthy again, in the early portion of OTAs, looks lively in the first 2 open days to the media. That said, tell me down below what you want to know from OTAs and training camp as it progresses. What have you liked so far? What are your concerns? What are your worries? What has made you feel positive? Are you on the Bryce Huff bandwagon? Are you a little concerned about Alfred Collins not practicing at all thus far through the offseason program? And are you sick and tired of the Brandon Aiyuk social media brigade, where every other day it feels like there's a headline you probably don't want your star receiver making, because usually it's negative, or at least it has the fan base up in arms in some sort of way? Tell me down below in the comments. You can also leave us that 5-star audio podcast review on Apple or Spotify. You can follow us on social media at 49ers_access is the X or Twitter. 49ers.access is the Instagram. And you can use the promo code 49ersaccess, 49 ERSACCESS at SeatGeek.com to save yourself $20 off your first purchase. And if you could, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I want to thank Kawachipto, Tommy Huxley, Aaron from Niners First Takes, Bobo as well in the YouTube comments. Thank you so much for watching, listening, and until next time, my name is Sterling Bennett, and as always, stay faithful.